Hello, friends! So I find myself speaking on the subject of censorship quite often recently, and that's because censorship is a big problem in our society. The powers that be desperately want any dissent to be shut down and those who counter them to be silenced as swiftly as possible. And we have another great example of that just over the past few days with YouTube and Google saying that they were censoring people under the Biden administration, which we know. Obviously, we know we got demonetized on YouTube under the same censorship regime. We had to censor a lot of what we were talking about all through 2021 and through a lot of 2022 as well, regarding things like the 2020 election and COVID itself. And this censorship was admitted specifically to be regarding COVID narratives because they did not want anybody going out there countering the mainstream COVID narrative and encouraging people to, dare I say, do their own research and make their own decisions, because that's not what democracy thrives on. Democracy thrives on a rule of oligarchs supported by elite opinion makers who tell you, the people, what to believe. And many people went along with it. A lot of people didn't want to go along with it. Those who didn't want to go along with it had to be silenced. But as a result of this admission, they said they were going to reinstate banned YouTube accounts that were censored for political speech. Now, this is a very broad way of describing it, when again, in the actual report that Google and YouTube put out, it was very specific that it was political speech regarding COVID that they wanted to censor during that time, and that these were the accounts that were going to be allowed to be reinstated. But, you know, a lot of people thought, great, I can have my YouTube channel back. So two people in particular decided to try and reinstate their accounts. Those two people were Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes. And whatever you think of those guys, I think it's only principled that they should be allowed to have YouTube channels. And if you're properly principled on free speech, that they should be allowed to speak to a large platform, because both of them have very interesting things to say and they offer unique perspectives which have now kind of been siloed off to the side on Rumble, which is not my favorite platform, but is still accessible and is quite a large alternative to YouTube. But still, everybody knows that YouTube is where most of the viewers are, and if you can get into a recommended algorithm on YouTube, then you can get hundreds of thousands and millions of views. Only one problem with that, though. You thought we weren't censoring you anymore? You thought that this was some kind of admission to faults and opening up speech again so that you can speak to a large platform, have a large audience, perhaps affect some change? Nope. They immediately shut down these two channels, and they did it so quickly, I don't even know if they got to post or stream anything on them before they got shut down. Now, YouTube themselves put out an update saying that we've seen some previously terminated creators try to start new channels. To clarify, our pilot program on terminations is not yet open. It's still against our community guidelines for previously terminated users to use, possess, or create other channels, and will terminate new channels from previously terminated users in accordance with those guidelines. We'll have more to share on the limited pilot program soon. So, presumably, whatever this limited pilot program will be, personally, I would like to see Stefan Molyneux's old channel reinstated, where a lot of his The Truth About Such and Such series were hosted, because YouTube is frankly the most convenient place to find them. I know he's got another YouTube channel now, but that's mainly his free domain live broadcasts, which are very different to those old videos. But I would imagine that this won't apply to Alex Jones or Nick Fuentes, being incredibly controversial creators who are more than willing to speak about and platform people who speak about very controversial subjects. They're still going to be breaking all sorts of community guideline rules on YouTube. There are still some channels that I watch, I won't name which ones, which speak about similar things and use the kind of language that Nick Fuentes uses, that have managed to stay on the platform, but I can only imagine that's because they've been flying under the radar thus far. So don't go searching them out. Do not go searching them out, or you watching them will get them on YouTube's radar, and you will get them banned, and then I will have to use Rumble to find those creators as well. So stay away. Stay away from my secret stash of spicy creators, all right? Either way, I can't see a situation where with Neil Mohan in charge, YouTube are going to properly platform Nick Fuentes and Alex Jones without a fight. Without a fight. But it is possible, but I think they will, if they do it, they will be dragged kicking and screaming into it. One of the most unlikely people who has come out in support of platforming Nick Fuentes in particular has been Vivek Ramaswamy, who I am not a fan of, after his big crash out at the end of last year, where he said that Americans were all lazy high school jocks who were too busy, you know, like having girlfriends and having fun to be really successful men, sir. But, you know, fair play to him for trying to be principled on this. I think Vivek Ramaswamy has had to claw back a lot of the PR that he destroyed. This might only be part of this. Or perhaps he is being principled in his advocacy for free speech and the idea that the First Amendment should apply to everybody, whether it's government censorship or not. So it's interesting to see him come out, especially seeing as Nick Fuentes is not a fan of his. Don't know what Alex Jones thinks of him. But fair play. So there are at least people who are adjacent to the current administration who are coming out and saying that they deserve a right to be heard by people. Alex Jones responded in the only way logical to this news, which was by shaving himself a nice toothbrush mustache. Listen, there is a lot of baggage attached to the toothbrush mustache. All right? I get that. I've acknowledged it. Let's put that to the side for one moment and admit to ourselves here, it suits him. It suits him. It's a good mustache. It looks good on him. And, you know, this was quite a surprise for me to see when I was scrolling through Twitter. I thought it was a Photoshop, I'll be honest, after he got taken off of YouTube again. But no, this was real. This was real, and it was glorious. For a brief, shining moment, the toothbrush mustache had a champion, a torchbearer, casting light into the darkness and reminding people that no matter what baggage it might have attached to it from the mid-1930s onwards, all right, okay, we can all acknowledge that it can look good. There's a reason that men used to have this mustache. And Alex Jones, you know, he explained why. He said that basically he was shaving and his cat knocked him while he was shaving his beard. So he decided to take the whole thing off and then decided, like, his friend encouraged him, hey, why don't you try that mustache? And he thought it suited him. He said at this point, for a glorious moment, he was considering keeping the mustache for 6 months. And my God, you know, he said, you know, like, people will assume, like, let's watch this little clip of him trying to explain it.
Now, when all these comedians do it, it's great, and they do it in movies, it's fine. But they think you're stupid. They will misrepresent and say that I am now a National Socialist, National Socialist Workers Party. That is absolutely not true. Now, when all these comedians do it,
it's not true. It's not true, guys. And to be fair, if there was anybody who would be wanting to put their flag down for support of the National Socialist Workers' Party of Germany, I don't think it would be Alex Jones, right? This was a bit of a meme. He said it was a social experiment as well, see how people would react to him. And again, I think it looked good. I honestly think it looked good. But then he broke my heart. He broke my heart. He shaved it off. Within hours. We were this close to greatness. And I think it was a perfectly reasonable response to YouTube censoring you. Again, everybody saying should have kept the mustache. And let's see if I can find the picture down here. It's vanished. It's seemingly vanished It's gone. It's gone. But the best response I saw to this was a picture of Alex with his mustache, smiling, saying, "You look so happy, Alex. You looked so happy." You know, censorship, here it is. Look at how happy he looked. All right? We can all deal with censorship, Alex, but ultimately, you've got to be true to yourself. And this was you. Now who are you? You just some guy. But anyway, yeah, YouTube censoring people. What's new? A few accounts that were censored under COVID are probably going to be coming back, but they are still not going to want to platform people with controversial views or controversial platforms who are quite notorious. And if they do start platforming them again, it will be because they have been forced to, kicking and screaming. And Alex, it's been almost 100 years, bro. If anyone's going to bring it back, it's going to be you. Take up the crown from the gutter. There is only you are the only one with the strength and will and resolve to do it. I believe in you, Alex.